Shalom, shalom. How we doing? How we doing out there? Give me 1 second. All right, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. How we doing out there? Getting ready to get off into this children lesson. First, let me say, I hope that you all are having a blessed Sabbath thus far. As you know, we have moved our times back for service. So now, instead of children lesson starting at 2:30, we're going to be starting roughly about 12:30, 12 to 12:30, right? Service will be at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. So we'll be having our main lesson following the praise and worship, then the main lesson. Okay, both of those start at 1. All right. So without further ado, we're gonna get into our commandments. We'll get into today's commandments, and then first, can y'all hear me out there? Let me know if my sound is good and everything. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to make sure my sound is good. Trying to get my sound together, y'all, so just give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so we good. All right, Shabbat shalom, my brother. All right, so we about to get started. All right, can you see like that? Okay. All right, so start with our 10 commandments. All right. First things first. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall have no other gods before me. Name some other gods.
Toys.
Toys. Why can toys be another god?
It could be like action figures.
I'm saying why though?
Because you keep playing with them every time, even on Sabbath.
Okay. How about this? How about when you name things, when you talk about not having another God, we're talking about not necessarily the playing with toys, but it's what you put into them, how much you spend time with them, and things of that nature, right? So with the toys, like sometimes kids, because they get wrapped up into playing with their toys or their video games, what they do is they start to treat it like their God, to the point where there's no interaction with the Most High at all. You know what I mean? So now the video game or the toys is now their God. So it's about how much effort you put into any of these things, and many, many more things that's not labeled here. You got, they got, like famous people, they got money, you know what I'm saying? They got, power, stuff like that that's listed on here as considered being other gods, right? So stuff like that anything that you put your effort into serving more than the Most High is considered another God, and that's considered idolatry. All right? You shall not make for yourself an idol. You shall not make for yourself an idol. So an idol. Now, give me an example of it, or bow down to it. You should not make for yourself an idol, like the statue here, neither shall you bow down to it. Right? I know this don't say that here, but neither shall you bow down to it. Give me some examples of another God.
Like a golden bull.
Golden bull, like you have the golden calf, like the children of Israel made a god to it, right? Go ahead. What else?
Fish heads.
Fish heads, right? What else?
That's all I got.
Okay. Man, you cannot make, guess what? You can't make man, like, you can't make a Jesus piece and sit and bow down to that. And when they say bow down, it don't literally mean bow down as in you bow to it. It's talking about in your heart, you serve that this is your God. You see what I'm saying? So you never have to bow down to anything. But if in your heart that is your God, then that's where it becomes a problem. Shalom, my brother. If in your heart that's your God, that's where it becomes a problem. Okay? So you shall not make for yourself an idol. Okay, what about like a Buddha statue? All right, that's an idol. You see what I'm saying? The Kaaba stone, you probably might not know nothing about that. The Kaaba stone is an idol. Okay, that's something Muslims go over to Mecca and they worship and stuff like that. That's idolatry, right? So all those things, erecting the statue and bowing down to it in your heart, not necessarily bowing down to it literally, but bowing down to it as in you believe that that's your God over the Most High that you cannot see. That's a God. That's an issue. And why is that though? Let's pause real quick. Open up to Exodus 20. It's something that the Most High is going to say in Exodus 20. Go to Exodus 20. Go to verse 22. Exodus 20 and verse 22.
Got it.
All right, it says, and Yahuah said unto Moshe, thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Right? So the Most High talked with the children of Israel from heaven. They ain't witnessed nothing physically made like a statue or a bull, or a calf, right? Verse 23, ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings and thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thine oxen. In all places where I record my name, I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. You see that? So he said, verse 23, ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. These things he's saying, these things he's saying not to make of him to worship him. So don't make these things and say that's the Most High. You see what I'm saying? Let me see something. Go to 1 Kings real quick, just to give you kind of a glimpse. Go to 1 Kings. It even said in Exodus when they started dancing around the golden calf, but I like this one too. Go to 1 Kings, and then we're going to get back on track. 1 Kings 12. First Kings, I'm tripping on that 2 Kings. 1 Kings 12. Verse 12, verse 26. Let's see what Jeroboam did. Now, we done talked about Jeroboam while we've been talking about our northern kingdom, and southern kingdom. Jeroboam was the first king to rule in the northern kingdom after the Israelite kingdom was split, right? Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about Jeroboam for a second. Make sure I'm good here. All right. So now, 1 Kings 12 and verse 26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Yahuah at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah. Now Rehoboam was the king of Judah. He was Solomon's direct descendant. After Solomon died, then it was Rehoboam, right? These two are at odds, Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah. So he's worried about his spot. Then he's more worried about his spot as king of the northern kingdom than being righteous. So he's already a wicked king there. He's not worried about being righteous, even though the Most High has told him, you're going to be the king over the 10 kingdoms. The Most High assured him that. So now he's leaning on his own understanding, right? Proverbs 3 and 5. Verse 28, whereupon the king took counsel.
Proverbs what?
No, I'm sorry. That was, I ain't say go to Proverbs 3 and verse 5. I'm just saying that he's leaning on his own understanding. And that's written in Proverbs 3 and 5. Verse 28, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. You see that? That's idolatry. That's this right here. So that's Jeroboam. He said, behold, Israel, thy gods which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. He made 2 golden calves, just like Aaron did for the people in the wilderness. That's this. Thy God. So he's now making them commit idolatry by erecting these golden calves.
Right.
That's how the northern kingdom of Israel end up being wicked, right? All right, so we're going to move on from there. So just wanted to show you that. All right, so the Most High said, he said in Exodus 20 and verse 23, don't make any, you saw me talk to you from heaven. All right, don't make no images of me, no gods of silver or gods of gold. What he doing? So he sinning, made 2 golden calves, right? Let's go further. You shall not misuse the name of Yahuah your Elohim. How can you misuse the Most High's name?
By making a vow and not uphold it.
Exactly. By not making a vow and upholding it. By what else? You remember what else? Sorry if you don't know. We talk about it. You don't know? That's good though. By making a vow, and because when you make a vow, usually it's in the Most High's name, right? So now, that's one of them. But how about this? When you're trying to convince somebody that a situation is true, and you swear in the Most High's name, and it end up being false, that's misusing his name. So you probably heard people say, man, I swear to the Most High that this is true, but it's really false. That's how you end up misusing the Most High's name, using his name in vain. Yeah. Right. All right. So you got that. Peter had actually bound himself with an oath, saying, so he did exactly what I just described. Peter is a prime example of what Shabbat Shalom. Peter is a prime example of what took place, what I just described. Because Peter, when they was oppressing, when they was getting ready to crucify the Messiah, what happened was, because he was scared of the pressure, he decided to bound himself with an oath. He felt the pressure coming from the people and bound himself with an oath, saying that he don't know the Messiah. This is why Mashiach saw it coming though, because he had to go pray for him. So he said, I prayed for your soul already. So yeah, so that's that, so that's how you misuse the Most High's name. When you make a vow in his name and don't uphold it, and when you swear falsely in his name, right? And here is Leviticus 19 and 12. I'm gonna do this periodically and kind of get some examples sometime. Leviticus 19 and 12. We ain't gonna be too long though. Leviticus 19 and 12. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuah. Like I described about Peter, you shall not swear by my name falsely. Okay? All right, let's talk about the Sabbath. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. What are we supposed to do for 6 days? Because it's not written here. Let's see if y'all know. What are we supposed to do for 6 days? We're supposed to work for 6 days, right? Supposed to work, good job. We're supposed to work for 6 days, and what else?
Go congregate.
When?
On the Sabbath.
On the Sabbath, which is what?
The 7th day.
The 7th day, right? That's good. So how can we keep the Sabbath holy? So besides congregating, what else?
Rest on the Sabbath day.
Rest on the Sabbath day. What else?
Watch VeggieTales.
You can watch VeggieTales. What else?
Pray.
Pray. Definitely can pray. What else?
Pray. And watch the lesson.
Watch the lesson, right? That's part of congregating, absolutely. You can watch anything. What you got?
And read the Bible.
Read the Bible. Yeah. Good job. So all ways to keep the Sabbath holy. Good job, y'all. All right. Honor thy father and thy mother so that you may live long in the land Yahuah your Elohim is giving you. Right? So while we're not in the land, we're still supposed to honor our father and mother, first of all. So it just so happened that he was giving us these laws while we was going into the land. So that's why it's written like that. But we still are commanded to honor our father and mother. Okay? So how can we honor our father and mother? Jay,
Call them by a good name.
say that again?
Call them by a good name.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You mean keep them with a good name. Keep them with. Now, how can you keep them with a good name?
Like be good. I mean,
Yeah. But being on your best behavior. Yeah, being on your best behavior. How can we honor our father and mother, Daquan?
By giving gifts.
Give them gifts. So you can show them that you love them and you honor them. What else?
Show people that your father and mother teach you right.
Yeah, that they raised you right. Yeah. Yeah. But you do that by being on your best behavior, though. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Good. Good. So honor your father and mother by keeping them with a good name. You can honor them by giving them gifts, listen to the instructions, right? So all of that's good. You shall not murder. You shall not murder. You shall not murder. So you shall not murder, right? So let's talk about that. Murder is murder when a man run up on me and I fight him off, and in the process he end up dying. Is that murder?
That's self-defense.
That's self-defense. All right, what is murder then?
When somebody just come up to you and kill you for no reason.
Yeah, that's murder. That's murder. That is murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not commit adultery. What is adultery for the man? Huh?
A man wake up for his wife for no reason and then go to engage to another girl and then start being with her.
Absolutely. That's one way. That's absolutely. What's the other way? For a man. We're still talking about a man. That's good. Remember, it's two ways. Go ahead.
When a man sneak it with another man's wife,
Yeah.
that commit adultery.
That's adultery too. So both of that's good. Now what about for the woman?
So when a woman just sneak out, go to another man, and for no reason.
Well, it's for a reason because she got a demon on her. But yeah, it's all. I know what you mean though. you answered right. I'm just messing around. But yeah, she got a demon on her. So she definitely went for a reason. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's good. So yeah, when a woman is married and she goes and be with another man, that's adultery on the woman's behalf and that man's behalf. And for a man, adultery is two things. If he's married and divorces his wife without the cause of her committing fornication, so if she didn't commit fornication or adultery, you know, it would be adultery on his behalf once he married another wife. And then also, adultery is when a man goes and lays with another man's wife, right? So that's adultery, right? So, all right. So, you should not steal. You shall not steal. Is it okay for a person to steal if they're poor?
No.
It's not. It's not. Why?
Because it don't matter if because it don't matter if you or it's just the law.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's no exceptions, right? There's no exceptions. There's no exceptions to the law. Don't matter what shit they have done, Devon.
Ask.
Okay. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. What does the word neighbor mean?
Your family.
Family. All right, family. Family of any sort is what neighbor mean. All right, you're talking about from brother and sister to mother and daughter, father and son. Example, David had committed a sin against the Most High by committing adultery and murder with Uriah the Hittite and committing adultery with Uriah the Hittite's wife, right? With the Bathsheba. And so the Most High, being angry at him, told him, listen, because you did this, what's going to happen is your neighbor is going to lay with your wives. That neighbor ended up being Absalom, which is his son, one of his oldest sons that he had in Hebron in his earlier days before he moved to Jerusalem. Okay? So, yeah. And so you should not give false testimony against your neighbor. All right, right here, neighbor doesn't always have to be a next door neighbor like we just established. Right here, it appears to be, they showing it like it's a next door neighbor. So, and they showing this young man, he's bearing false witness against this young man here. And the owner of the house is trying to figure it out, right? All right, so you shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. You shall not covet anything that belongs. What does it mean to covet?
Wait, really want something?
Yeah, it's a strong desire, yeah, but
Wait, jealous?
nope, gone, Daquan.
Covet means to lust after someone's possession.
Plus, lust after someone's possession. When you really, really want something, so you can want something and not formulate a plan against trying to get their stuff. So you partially was right, but what does it lead you to do? You know, and that's, you, go ahead.
Still?
It leads you to go and commit other acts of sin. That's what coveting does. It leads you to, it's a strong desire, you're right, but to go and do something to the point where it's uncontrollable almost, like, unless you pray against that spirit. All right, so you're talking about whether you're talking about, like right here, so this woman is desiring this person's house and car. You know, this house and car, they desiring it. And, you know, they, you know, to the point where they want to break up, they willing to break other sins to get that, to break other laws to get that. So, example, in order to take this, the owner, in order to take this house and this car, she would either have to go and make up some documents saying that she owned this house, which is stealing because it wholeheartedly don't belong to her, or she'd have to kill the owner, then make up some documents to take this person's house. So now you're talking about murder, you're talking about stealing, right? Ultimately, and on top of that, you already coveting, but then ultimately it becomes idolatry. Because you have idolized the material possessions or the house and the car over the Most High. You see how that works? The Most High is the one that gave the laws in the first place for us to live right. So when you don't get control of that spirit and you don't go pray about the desire, and you will be tempted. You'll be tempted. You can get tempted, but it's how you act when you get tempted. Like if you get tempted to steal something, you know, you fight that off with thinking about what's right and wrong according to the Most High's laws, right? So if you'll get tempted. People get tempted to do things all the time and don't follow after that temptation. So because we're human, we're going to constantly be tempted by Satan. Satan is going to constantly tempt us. But we have control. The Most High has given us a certain level of control where Satan can't overtake us to the point where he'll drive us to go and steal and kill, right? So we have control over our members. And we have to remember that. So when we dealing with that spirit, and we got a strong desire, we got to think about what's pleasing and displeasing to the Most High. All right, y'all understand that?
Yes.
All right. So now let's talk about today's topic. We're gonna take a break from the Kings. Got a few more of those. Gonna take a break from the Kings though. Today's topic is Yahuah sees everything. Let's talk briefly about that. And go to Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 11. Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 11. Yahuah sees everything. Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 11. Let me get there.
Got it.
Let me get there. All right. Yahuah sees everything. Why are we talking about this? Is because ultimately, when you think about the ways of the world, I've heard things. I hear things all the time coming up where people think they can get away with evil all the time. Like, as long as it's not seen by man, they think they in the clear. All right, but Yahuah is the one that you have to worry about pleasing and displeasing. All right, so like when we talked about this right here, covenant. If she's gonna go ahead with a plan to take these possessions, I can almost guarantee you she would not broadcast, meaning tell everybody that she's gonna take these possessions. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
She can be quiet and just silently working on a plan, and it's in her heart to steal. It's in her heart to kill. Only one that see that is the one that made us, and that's Yahuah. It won't be man unless she reveal it to man that she's going to steal. Now it's another person that know that she's up to no good. But being up to no good, it starts in the person's heart. All right. So when I say Yahuah sees everything, I wanted to focus on the internal man, or the man, the inner man. So I'm gonna start off with this. Go to, as a matter of fact, what did I tell y'all to go to? Ecclesiastes. We're going to come back there. Go to Jeremiah 17. I don't even know why I didn't write that down in my notes. Jeremiah 17 and 9. It says, the heart is deceitful. You there?
Yep.
The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So scriptures say that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Let's see. I, Yahuah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. You see that? He tried the heart. He searched the reins to give every man according to his ways and the fruit of his doings. So he's going to see you with a wicked heart first. You start lusting after this, like this woman is coveting after these possessions, and you don't check that spirit. Once you start to act on these things, you will be punished for what you did. Example, we talked about David. What happened to David? Y'all know the story of David and Bathsheba? What you know about it?
I remember David committed adultery.
Okay. He committed adultery. He definitely did that. What else did he do?
Get with the other guys.
No. Well, he committed idolatry. You know what happened? You know some things, Jaden, about David's story?
David and his other brothers was so mean because their dad um was Dave's favorite son. So
Yeah, that's all right. I'll let y'all know. So what happened with David? What happened with David and Bathsheba? All right. First of all, David woke up. This was a time where they went out to war. David didn't go out to war this particular day. David woke up, saw Bathsheba washing up naked, right, in the pool. And so he got enticed, meaning he started to lust after her. He sent somebody to find out who she was. Come to find out, she was married to Uriah the Hittite. She was a married woman. So now, it's not wrong to inquire, or I know y'all don't know what that word means, but to ask about a woman, right? But the part that's wrong, what David did was to find out that she was married and then still go after her, which is what he did. So after he found out she was married, now what's adultery for a man?
Adultery for a man is when a man divorces her old wife for no reason.
His old wife.
His old wife for no reason. And gets a new wife.
And what else?
And when a man sneak with another man's wife,
Yeah.
that committed adultery.
Right, and that's what he did. He committed adultery, the second definition he gave. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
He committed adultery that way. He knew that this was Uriah the Hittite's wife. I'm going to go ahead and be with this woman. And he did. And he ended up getting her pregnant. So now he finds out she's pregnant. She tell him that she's pregnant. He now goes through and he tries to hide it. You know how he tried to hide it? He tried to send Uriah the Hittite to his mother, to his wife's house, back to his house to be with his wife, so that, because Uriah the Hittite was one of his soldiers, so that it can look like it's Uriah the Hittites. The Most High see the whole thing, right? So it's just playing out right now. So Uriah the Hittite doesn't go down to his house because everybody is at David's house because they out the war. It's wartime. Next thing you know, Uriah the Hittite, David couldn't get Uriah the Hittite to go down to his house. So what happened was Uriah the Hittite David ended up sending Uriah the Hittite into a war, into a battle. And they set him up to get killed. He sent a letter to Joab to set Uriah the Hittite up to get killed. All just to cover up his adultery, his coveting, his covetousness. You know what I'm saying? He coveted, he stole, because that was Uriah the Hittite's wife. That was his possession. And he committed adultery. Now he's becoming a murderer by killing Uriah the Hittite, having him killed for no reason. He didn't sin. Uriah the Hittite was righteous, right? Mm-hmm. So David had him killed. So now Bathsheba, they already conceived. They have the child, and what happens is Nathan the prophet goes to David and give him this parable, and pretty much David is pretty much pointing out, is asking David, what would you do if this poor person, if a rich person oppressed a poor person, right? And David said, he went off. He said that he would make the rich person pay, pretty much. He would make him pay, he would punish him. So Nathan told him, you're that rich person, because he gave him a parable just to make him think. And David said, I will punish that person. You're that person. And David, was in shock, and he repented in the heart. And the Most High saw that. So instead of killing him, having him killed, the Most High said that the way he was going to punish David was by killing that kid that him and Bathsheba had just had, and also making it to where his neighbors slept with his wives, which ended up being Absalom, like we talked about earlier. So that was David's punishment. Right. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But in the midst of that look at that whole thing. He tried to cover everything up, and it ended up falling. All he had to do was control his lust and desire. He couldn't control himself. He couldn't control this right here. You shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. Uriah the Hittite was his neighbor. Bathsheba belonged to Uriah the Hittite. Anything that belongs to your neighbor. You see that? Mm-hmm. You shouldn't covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. Right? So he coveted, he murdered, he stole, idolatry. That's exactly what David did. Right. She was another man's possession. So when he coveted, it led him to steal, because he found out that she was his wife. Mm-hmm. After he couldn't cover it up no more, she was pregnant. He couldn't get Uriah to go down to his house. You shall not murder. Right? Ultimately, him doing all of this is idolatry. He idolized Bathsheba. That became his God. He couldn't control his lust. Right. You see that? Mm-hmm. All right? Just want y'all to understand. Now, let's go to Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Yahuah sees everything. Now, this is the reason that people decide to sin. Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. This is the reason that people make an effort to sin, even knowing that the Most High exists. Like David had a heart after the Most High. Why would he commit this bad act? Why would he sin? So let's see. Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work, what did David do? What evil work did David do?
He idolized Bathsheba.
Yeah. What else? By doing what?
Committed adultery.
Right.
Murder.
Mm-hmm.
And covet.
He covenant, right? Mm-hmm. So because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. So because, like, when we sin, the Most High is merciful in how he operates. So he don't always bring the wrath right away. He give us a chance to repent. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. So because the Most High is not hurrying up to go and kill somebody after they sin, man think they can get away with evil all the time, even to this day. That's why you don't see more people in this walk. It's going to be a remnant that's going to be in the kingdom, because everybody think that they can be. They either they don't believe, or those that partially believe that they can get saved on the last day. Some foolishness, or they think some foolery, like they can get in the water, and as long as they've been baptized or put into that water, that they could come out and they'll get into the kingdom, but they remain a sinner throughout their life after coming out the water. This is why that happened. Because they don't truly believe in what is going to take place in future times. Verse 12, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear Elohim, which fear before him. So, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged. So, a sinner will keep going, because he's not seeing those signs of death. His health is not deteriorating. He's a murderer, but his health not deteriorating. You know, he's not being shot at. He's not being stabbed. You know what I mean? Like, he's prideful. Maybe he may be rich. So he don't see that, and his life is being prolonged, meaning his life is continuing. You know what I mean? You got 100-year-old sinners in the world. You got 80 and 90-year-old sinners, right? So because and even in past times, you had men that were sinners that lived to the hundreds, but they were sinners though, right? Though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear Elohim, which fear before him. So keep that in mind. So don't become a sinner because a sin, or because when you sin, the Most High don't directly come and destroy you. Just know that he keeping track. He don't forget anything, right? You got your hand up? No? Okay. So he don't forget anything, right? Let's go. We're going to wrap it up with Job 24 and 15. Job 24 and 15. Wrap it up with Job 24 and 15. Wrap it up with Job 24 and verse 15. Now we're talking about the adulterer now. The adulterer that's sneaking. Watch this. It says, the eye also of the adulterer waits for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguises his face. You see that? So he's sneaking to commit adultery. Right? Remember, the Most High see everything. What did he see about David?
He see that he murdered,
Yep.
committed adultery,
Yep.
covet.
He coveted. Yep. So, yeah. The Most High, no eye shall see me. This is his thoughts. No eye shall see me and disguise his face. This is what the adulterer will do. Watch this. In the dark, they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves in the daytime. They know not the light, right? So in the dark, they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves in the daytime. So now, these people, these adulterers, they lined up houses that had women in them, and they decided that, hey, I'm going to deal with those women there. And so they sneak and go deal with these women, these married men, because that's the only way you can really commit adultery for a man, right? Verse 17, for the morning is to them even as the shadow of death. So now the morning to them is as the shadow of death. Why? It's because if somebody find them committing adultery, they will be put to death. If one know them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. See that? He is swift as the waters. So the adulterer is swift. Their portion is cursed in the earth. He beholds not the way of the vineyards. All right, so just showing you that that though the adulterer is sneaking, when he's sneaking to commit adultery, he's lining up houses that he want to go, of women that he want to go and deal with, and it says that the light, the daylight, is like as the shadow of death. It's because in ancient Israel, adulterers got put to death. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Remember, Yahuah sees everything. Yahuah sees when we break these right here. Everything. All right. That's in your heart. You need to pray against whatever spirit is causing you to go astray. Because Yahuah see it. He searched the reins of the heart. He see everything. He see when you lying. He see and bearing false witness. He see when you a murderer. When nobody else saw you commit a murder, Yahuah saw it. When nobody else saw you steal, Yahuah saw it. And he gonna test you too. He gonna wait to see if you gonna go and make it right some type of way, or you gonna own up to your fault. And then he gonna bring the punishment. He gonna see all that. He see when you coveting. You coveting, that's more internal. That's dealing with your heart. You lusting after somebody's possessions. Pray against that spirit. Learn how to pray. All right? For real, learn how to pray. All right? All right, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. We getting ready to start service here in a few minutes. We're going to bring forth praise and worship, followed by today's main lesson. Hope you all taking care of your health and staying prayed up through these times, and hope to see you all here in Sabbath class. All right, Shabbat Shalom.